Winter weather has made its way to Oklahoma, what many in the central area of the state can expect. A tragedy at a University of Virginia over the weekend. Find out what happened, and a man is in custody following a murder mystery happening here in Oklahoma. This is OU Nightly. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Jaden Brannon.
And I'm Summer Miller. We begin tonight with winter weather here in Oklahoma. It feels like Jack Frost has Norman in his GPS. Let's head over to OU meteorologist Colton Williams to see if he's heard from Mr. Frost. Colton?
Yeah, that's right. Been tracking a round of winter weather here across the state throughout the day today. Right now, still watching on radar, seeing a lots of wintry mix going on here. Just been told now that it has just now started snowing here in Norman, here in Cleveland County. Radar still indicating rainfall, but we're now starting to see some small pockets of snow move overhead here on the OU campus. As we look north now, snow going on I-35 back down through Billings and Garber, snow ending in Enid now. Going out west down I-40, snow now coming to an end in far western Canadian County. Let's go live to Coy Taylor. He's at the Cherokee Trading Post in far western Canadian County. Coy, tell us what you're seeing out there in far western Canadian County.
Yes, Colton, that's what we are experiencing right now. Some snow here at the Cherokee Trading Post, here at I-40 and 281. I'm going to step out of the way. You can see 281 runs over I-40 right there, and limited visibility, maybe half a mile right now across what would be here in western Canadian County. And that's what we're seeing at least further west towards the Texas-Oklahoma state line as we go towards the Panhandle. That's what we are continuing to watch and monitor. A snowy scene, about 2 inches, sticking to the grassy surfaces, starting to accumulate on the on and off ramps. So bridges and overpasses are going to become a concern tonight as we see what would be the freezing line continues to push further, would be eastward into central Oklahoma. So take it slow. Road conditions, we'll be monitoring them throughout the newscast. Amaya, over to you.
Thanks, Coy. Yeah, I'm currently right outside of campus and it's starting to snow. So here's how you all can protect yourself from this winter weather. It's important to prepare for severe weather starting at home, at work, and in your car. Have an emergency supply kit for your car, including jumper cables, sand, a flashlight, warm clothes, and of course, a full tank of gas. The city is on standby with equipment. I talked with the City of Norman Streets Manager on how they ensure roads are safe.
So we start by using a brine system. It's a saltwater brine solution. We pre-treat the roads prior to the storm, about 24 to 36 hours in advance if we can. This helps to kind of delay the icing of the roadway. And then once the storm starts, we'll go out and begin spreading salt and sand, mixture of the two.
In preparation, residents are advised to review primary and secondary routes you can find on the City of Norman's website. Reporting live from Lindsay Street, Amaya Ward, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Amaya. Now, while crews are preparing to help keep roads safe, here are some tips from Norman PD on how to practice safe driving in these conditions. First, check weather conditions before hitting the road. Also, be sure to fill up your gas tank and clear any ice or snow off your vehicle before leaving. They also advise drivers to take extra time when traveling, to go slow and take extra caution on the roads. Be sure to monitor local channels on updating weather conditions before driving anywhere.
And a tragedy at the University of Virginia is leaving the community grieving. Romello Woodfork joins us live from the newsroom with details. Romello.
Yes, the University of Virginia is mourning the loss of 3 football players who were shot and killed Sunday night. After returning from a school trip to Washington, D.C., a shooter opened fire on a bus full of students. Juniors Devin Chandler, Lavelle Davis, and Deshaun Perry were killed. 2 other students are recovering this evening. Sooners head coach Brent Venables speaking out about the tragedy. He's sending prayers, love, and support to their football team. The suspect is in custody. The motive still remains unclear.
interest in a quadruple homicide returns to Oklahoma. I have that in the rest of today's national headlines from the News Center. Joe Kennedy is back in Oklahoma tonight after being arrested in Florida. He is a person of interest in the murder of 4 men out of Okmulgee. The remains of the 4 missing men were found dismembered in the Deep Fork River with evidence of gunshot wounds. Authorities say they found blood at a property near Kennedy's salvage yard. With a lot at stake this midterm election, more Oklahomans registered to vote. Fewer showed up. According to the state election board, the number of votes for governor were down about 36,000 votes. And for those at the polls, 70% of Republicans voted straight party compared to 30% of Democrats. And on Capitol Hill, Democrats keep control of the Senate, but for the House, reporting shows that will go to the Republicans. There are still days between when we will know if the Republicans will win the 218 seats needed to control. Democrats did fall short of critical battlegrounds in Arizona and California. And while this happens in the States, President Biden is in Indonesia ahead of the G20 summit meeting with Chinese leaders. The 3-hour meeting between the two countries ended with the president saying he is pleased with how it went.
Thanks, Carolyn. And the much-awaited Sylvester Stallone's Tulsa King is streaming now. The show is filmed in parts of Tulsa and Oklahoma City, featuring several of the state's best-known landmarks. It follows an East Coast mobster who moves to Oklahoma after being released from prison. You can watch episode 1 on Paramount Plus now, with new episodes uploaded weekly.
And housing prices are on the rise. Coming up, we have a look at how inflation is impacting students in Norman.
Increased price tags this holiday season could make celebrating more expensive. Ahead, we have tips on how you can save a few bucks this Thanksgiving.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
People across the U.S. are feeling the impacts of inflation, but students here in Norman are starting to notice it too. OU Nightly's Dana Searles spoke with students living off campus to see how rising prices are affecting them.
Inflation is a hot topic in Norman.
I worked here previously at Red Point this past summer, and they told us that we're going up in rent for the next year, so next 2024, we're going up 9%.
Students living off campus are noticing an increase in prices.
So 3 cottages are going from $700 to like $800. This now where I'm staying, it's at $820, but it's going up to $900. My roommate, or one of my friends, he lives down the street. His rent went up by like $50 or $70.
While rent is increasing, utility prices are also on the rise. In October, OG&E announced an increase in the customer energy charge of more than 7%.
Like last year I paid $40 a month for like electricity. Now I'm paying like $70 or $80, so it kind of doubled.
And some are seeing the prices directly affecting their rent.
Technically it's supposed to be in our rent, but now we've kind of been getting extra charges and have to pay that on top of our rent.
Which is making students feel
not great, especially because like they didn't explain things to us very well. So it was kind of a shock, and then it kind of also was like we were taken aback because they don't live here, so they didn't know about Norman prices going up, so they didn't compensate on their end, so then it was kind of just left to us.
And with consistent cold weather hitting Norman, we could already see the impact. Dana Ciros, OU Nightly.
And with rising prices at the top of minds for many, it might come to a surprise the most affordable place to buy a house is closer than you think. Olivia Daig has more in Money Matters. That's right, Jaden. According to CNBC, studies show out of all large U.S. cities, only 4 have affordable starter homes. Oklahoma City and Tulsa make that list. However, folks in OKC might have limited options. A buyer in the metro making the median average income could afford a $165,000 house, but only 41 houses in that range exist in the city. And putting that big bird on the dinner table this Thanksgiving might cost you a little more, but I've got some tips to save a buck. Inflation is causing turkeys to cost 40 more cents a pound this year, so buy frozen rather than fresh. Another way to save is to switch to canned vegetables, and you don't have to serve everything. Let your guests bring sides so everyone's wallet can win. Jaden and Summer, it's looking good for travelers heading out this holiday. Gas Buddies reporting prices at the pump here in the state are down 7 cents. It's now $3.13 a gallon. Thanks, Olivia. And one organization here in Norman is helping those in need during these cold temperatures. Stick around to see what you might be able to do to help out.
And winter is on our front porch. Let's head to OU meteorologist Colton Williams about what winter weather we should expect to see here in Oklahoma. Colton?
Yeah, that's right. All right, Oklahoma, watching snow coming down here in the Oklahoma City Metro and Norman. We're going to have the latest on that winter storm, plus coming up this week. Here in just a few minutes, we'll be right back.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Central and Midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Here we go. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Thanks for joining us. I'm Colton Williams, taking a look now at our campus cam here, seeing snowfall in Norman for the first time today. One of the last places in the Oklahoma City Metro to catch some snowfall today. So we did have some very large flakes. Looks like we're kind of transitioning back to a sort of a wintry mix now, but snowflakes still inevitably falling here in Norman as we're watching temperatures hanging out again in the 30s, middle to upper 30s here. So we're still above freezing at the surface, but seeing snow melting on the surface here. Winds are out of the northeast. And here we go. Snow across the state now, really from north to west. Snow ending in the west now as it's creeping eastward. Radar still picking up rainfall here in Norman, but overall we are seeing some snow, so maybe a mix from time to time as we see that snow continue to creep in. Right now, again, hanging out at 35 in Norman, 36 in Oklahoma City. You see temperatures are below freezing out to the west. As this freezing line creeps eastward, that's where we see rain transition over to snow. And if you notice, there's actually a bit of a boundary here where wind gusts are higher on the far northwestern side of it. And as that approaches, that's where we're seeing a transition line from rain and into snow. Okay, so as we go again throughout the remainder of the evening, we're going to see snow continuing really till about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. By that time, we'll see every round of precip on our way out of here. And by 8, 9, 10 o'clock this evening, we're going to be dry, left with some low-level cloud cover hanging on throughout this evening. And this event will be completely over, okay? So did have a large dip from our polar jet all the way out of Canada. That brought a lot of access to a lot of cold air here on the front side of the storm system here. That's what brought us the rain and snow today. Lots of rain, maybe even a couple severe thunderstorms going on now along the Gulf Coast. Okay, now today saw more rain than we saw snow in Norman, saw more snow than rain in some places here. Didn't have a lot of freezing rain and sleet, so those really don't matter today. But as far as what we saw today, you see we had air temperatures above freezing at the surface. That led to a lot of rain going on today in Norman. But here in the last 15 or 20 minutes or so, the entire column of air has frozen. That's led to snow going on here. We'll may transition back and forth between these throughout the evening hours as we warm and cool those columns of air. But overall, right now, sitting in this state, looking at snow. Okay, now right now, southeast of Norman, some folks saw half to an inch to even an inch and a half here in Pottawatomie County of some snow. Ada's seen about an inch and a half or so. Looking out west, some folks saw 2 to 3 to even 4. Almost 5 inches of snow here going on the southeastern sides of Elk City, south of Weatherford there. So again, some folks saw snow that we don't ever see going on in November. Okay, now I think when it's all said and done, we're still going to look something like this. One pocket of about 4 to 5 inches in far western Oklahoma. Some folks seeing 3 to 4 here in the metro. Be lucky to maybe even pick up 1. Okay, now coming up over the next couple of days, this winter system, it's going to exit, head off to the northeast. It'll produce more snow in the far northeast. Before then, we're going to settle in here with a quiet pattern across Oklahoma, and that doesn't change as we go throughout the next several days. So the remainder of this week is cool, and it is quiet. Okay, now tonight, snow will move out. We will clear out overnight. We will drop down to the middle 20s overnight tonight with a northerly breeze. Before then, tomorrow, cooler day once again tomorrow, but we are dry. Wind chills will be in the 30s all day long. Okay, tomorrow going to be very cool. Looking up here into the next part of the week, looking at 40s for today, tomorrow, and into Wednesday. Thursday we'll be back in the 50s. Lots of sunshine before then. Another strong cold front rolls in here for Friday. Friday will be in the 30s. Bedlam looking chilly in the 40s. This time next week we'll be at a very warm 50 degrees. Ladies, back to you.
Thanks, Colton. As a cold front moved in last week, Food and Shelter reached its capacity. The shelter says it's prioritizing those who absolutely have to sleep outside. The city of Norman approved a temporary warming shelter for people experiencing homelessness on October 11th. Food and Shelter Executive Director April Doshier says, although the shelter greatly appreciates the city's help, there are still not enough beds available for everyone.
It sleeps 40 people, 26 men and 14 women, and last night we were at capacity in both dorms. But 40 people is just not enough to get, 40 beds is just not enough to get everybody inside. There are hundreds of people outside on our streets every night.
You can help Food and Shelter by watching their social media to find out what supplies the shelter needs most during this winter.
And it's no secret that OU football has sent quite a few players to the pros.
Zoe Watson has more on how some of our former Sooners are doing in the NFL. Zoe?
Yes, Summer, a Sooner legend returns to the starting lineup. Another looks to keep his perfect season alive. The country roads weren't kind to the Sooners, and a rivalry is on its last leg presents the Sooners with a chance to rebound. I'll have the details next.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Almost heaven? Not quite for the Sooners. Hello and welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Zoe Watson. The Mountaineers sent Oklahoma packing with a 23-20 loss. OU led by 7 after 3 quarters. But Mountaineer kicker Casey Legg pushed a 25-yard field goal through as time expired for a West Virginia win. Carly Murray was in Morgantown and has more on the game.
I think the biggest thing is just effort and not staying on blocks. These guys do an unbelievable job of getting off of blocks, not staying blocks and getting to the football. And so when you see that on tape, you understand exactly what the game.
The Sooners traveled to Morgantown for the first time since 2018 and lost 23-20, making it their first conference loss against West Virginia.
Eric Gray ran for 211 yards, his new high as a Sooner, and scored 2 touchdowns, making it his 4th multi-touchdown game of the season. Dylan Gabriel threw for 190 yards and completed 17 of 28 of his passes. As for the defense, Danny Stutzman posted a career-high 14 tackles and his 2nd interception of the season. Deshaun White tallied 11 tackles with 1.5 tackles for loss, and Woody Washington forced a fumble.
Up next, the Sooners host the Bedlam Battle. We'll see if QB1 Spencer Sanders will be back for that one. Reporting inside Milan Puskar Stadium, Carly Murray, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Carly. Next up, Bedlam. Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy met with the media today. And the Midwest City native talked about the state of the rivalry. Gundy says when he was part of the rivalry, he wasn't too friendly. He was more worried about the girls. As far as this Saturday goes, OU offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby says OU has to match OSU's effort.
I think the biggest thing is just effort and not staying on blocks. These guys do an unbelievable job of getting off of blocks, not staying blocks and getting to the football. And so when you see that on tape, you understand exactly what the game's going to be like on Saturday. These guys are going to play tough. They're going to play hard. They don't stay blocked. So we got to, match and surpass that effort.
From current Sooners to former Sooners, Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb had 11 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 TDs in their overtime loss to the Packers. And Jalen Hurts and his Eagles take on the Washington Commanders in a Monday Night Football matchup. And speaking of former Sooner quarterbacks, last week he was headbutting teammates. This week, Baker Mayfield will start for the Carolina Panthers against the Baltimore Ravens, per head coach Steve Wilks. The Oklahoma City rolled past the New York Knicks. While they weren't on Broadway, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey put on a show. As Shai scored 37 points and Giddey recorded a 24-point triple-double and a 145 win to 135 win in the Madison Square Garden. Fun fact, Wilt Chamberlain is the only other player in NBA history to put up a triple-double in their first 2 appearances at MSG. Jaden Summer, back to you.
Thanks, Zoe. And some students on campus were greeted with Christmas cheer when they got to class.
Stick around to see what student ambassadors are doing to help make OU feel a little bit like home during the holidays.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Central and Midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are, they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
If the cold hasn't put you in the Christmas spirit, hopefully this will.
Gaylord students had a nice surprise this morning. Over the weekend, some students helped spruce up the lobby of Gaylord Hall.
A 12-foot tall Christmas tree, garland on the stairwell, and wreaths everywhere you turn. They want to make Gaylord College feel like family, especially for those who can't go home for the holidays. Now let's check in with weather one more time about those frosty temperatures outside. Colton?
Yeah, still tracking rain and winter mix moving across the Oklahoma City metro now. We will be coming to an end here as we go throughout the next hour and a half or so. Right now, radar indicating rain moving from Newcastle over the OU campus. This is really kind of a wintry mix, transitioning from rain to snow, snow back to rain. So we'll keep watching this as we go throughout the evening, keep our social medias update. But it was a broader view here, looking at snow coming out on the west, moving over Oklahoma City within the next hour or so. And we'll keep tracking this. Ladies, back to you.
Thank you for joining us tonight on OU Nightly live from Gaylord College.
Be sure to tune in weekdays live at 4:30. Good night.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips